Hello, and welcome to this 3P multiple perspectives conversation with the host body of Ian Foster, the Arena System, who is currently little, and we worked out that on school we can't change the name, which makes it tricky for others possibly to recognise the shifts. But we will try and acknowledge that as we move through. Our starting point for today is the concept of you only need to be 1 week ahead of your clients, which is something that lots of coaching schools teach and lots of things teach. And I have thoughts. Many thoughts.
You always have thoughts.
I sometimes I manage to quiet my mind for a moment or two.
We like your thoughts.
Generally not longer than a moment or two. So this is a statement that I agree with on some level and disagree with on other levels. And I think it depends on how we define coach, how we define educator, and whether we are educating content or whether we are educating. The word in my head is context, but it's not right. It's whether we're sharing experiences or whether we're sharing content. So in the context of my homeschooling, like when
Are we talking about stuff or are we talking about being?
Yeah, that would be the words. There we go. So if we're talking about stuff, you can be 5 minutes ahead. Like there were many moments when we were relearning algebra for home education purposes that literally half the time we were 5 seconds ahead of where the teenager was, and I didn't need to be any further ahead than that. I just I could be in it with them. And there are times where we can just be walking alongside and being in it with people. And then there are times where if we are sharing levels of wisdom on being, we probably should have lived it for more than a week. And so
you just shoulded yourself.
Well, I did. And I stand by it.
Okay. That's fine.
I mean, maybe it doesn't matter, but I feel like it does. I feel like, actually, what I feel like is, and I don't like the term feel like either, but what I sense is that we need to be transparent about where we are. So if we're only going to be a week ahead, our clients should know that. If we're only going to be 3 seconds ahead, our clients should know that. If we're going to have been doing this for years, our clients should know that. So right at the moment, I'm re-immersing in the Daily Frog stuff. And I was very transparent with the people that came into that community and we're doing it together that I haven't done this for quite some time. I did do it consistently for about 3 years. And then I took a step back and I'm only just coming back into doing it. But I think it's important to be transparent about where we are at. The concept of fake it until you make it. Daily Frog. We do like the Daily Frog.
Yeah. We've been making our Tada cards, and one of them is to remember to do our Daily Frog.
Daily Frog. Daily Frog is a really cool concept. And one that I come and go from. My use of systems and structures is inconsistent. And I am always transparent about that with people that I am working with, that I don't expect them to be consistent because I'm not, but if they want to be consistent, I will support that. And if that works for them, that's great. But there's got to be a level of transparency. And I think so many people are proclaiming to the world, putting out or saying to the world, hey, I found this cool thing and it's amazing and it's awesome. And they're talking about it like they've been doing it for years and really they've been doing it for 5 minutes. And I don't like that very much.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when we teach all the legal stuff, We
Mm,
are years ahead of our clients. And
yep.
that's what they want when they're learning that stuff. And not just years ahead of knowing it, but years ahead in doing it and being it every day.
Yep.
And so then we get to model it and live it with them and teach them that the legal stuff is not just stuff, it's also being. But like in our EBH group, sometimes we're a year ahead or months ahead, or sometimes we're a few days ahead. And it's funny, you make us think we don't say before each EBH Friday session how far ahead we are, but we also, some of those days, it's a thing where we've done this for a year, and some of those days, it's something we just learned this week that we thought was really cool.
I think you probably share that more than you realize in the
Yeah.
EBH group. I
Hmm.
Yeah, I definitely have a recollection of you sharing, and I don't think you ever come with that guru I am all knowing energy, which is the energy that
Mm.
discombobulates it, like it mucks it
Yes.
up. It's the you come with a very grounded I am on this journey with you in the EBH stuff. In the legal
Yeah.
stuff, definitely you come with a I know my shit, you should listen to me.
Tut, you said shit, but we do know it.
I also said should.
And you're right, in the EBH group, we do try in some way to, maybe energy is the right way to say, hey, we're all learning this together and we're doing this together and we're trying it out together. And if it's not working, we're going to keep adjusting and trying new things together. That's kind of the whole point of EBH.
Yeah. Yeah, and you definitely say that overtly, like out loud in moments, and
Mm-hmm.
you definitely say it with your energy
Mm-hmm.
when it's not expressed out
Mm-hmm.
loud cleanly. I think that's the piece that so many other people are trying to hide. They want to be seen as the expert when they're on the adventure. And see, now we are going to move to hero's journey. I knew it would come up at some
Mm-hmm.
point, but maybe we can
Yay.
access the rant energy as we go there. Um, so in the hero's journey, there's a whole pile of characters, and we need to know our part as a character. Are we the companion for somebody, or are we the mentor? So if we think of The Wizard of Oz,
Mm-hmm.
because it's a movie most people will know, and it's a very, very nice representation of the hero's journey. So you've got Toto the dog, who is a forever companion.
And it's a movie about a system that's not about a system.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. Which is why we like it, because when we do
Mm-hmm.
Team of Inner Champions work, in essence, we are creating a system for, or uncovering, unveiling a system. And so,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we quite like it. So in Wizard of Oz, you've got the consistent companion of Toto,
Mm-hmm.
which generally is not where any business owner is aiming to be. The companion energy of Toto is a very different companion energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then, but it's the first companion that we kind of meet in the journey. So we start with Toto at the very beginning, and then we meet Glinda, and Glinda
Mm-hmm.
is on some levels a mentor and offers guidance, follow the yellow
Mm-hmm.
brick road, and so and offers support and help, like waves magic wands over them occasionally throughout their trials. So Glinda definitely plays the role of the mentor, but she's a very hands-off mentor. She's not right there alongside. And then we get the Scarecrow and the Tin Man and the Lion, and they become companions
Mm-hmm.
and the community, and then and influence each other. And then we meet the Wizard, who we think is a good guy, but really he's a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
And Wicked adds a whole other layer of dimension, which is the other reason that we like the Wizard of Oz, because it illustrates very nicely there are no bad parts when you combine it with Wicked, because
Yes.
Elphaba, the Wicked Witch of the West, is just misunderstood, and Glinda
Mm-hmm.
is misunderstood. Like it just flips the narrative, which I
And
love.
some of the Disney villains movies are like that too, the newer ones too.
Yes, and Disney's doing a really nice job of flipping a lot of stereotypes. Like if we look at Shrek
Mm-hmm.
as Fiona rather than staying the beautiful princess,
Mm.
evolves into the ogre. And I love
Yeah.
that. Like, it just, I am far more an
Mhm.
ogre in my middle age than I am a beautiful
Mhm.
princess. Oh, I don't know that they are the only two options that I have. There are plenty of
No.
others.
Uh-huh.
So and then you've got the witch, which is the antagonist, at least in the Wizard of Oz. But there are all these pieces. Which pieces are we playing? Are we playing Glinda, a very standoff mentor who gives instructions, maybe writes a book and says, follow the yellow brick road? Are we playing the wizard who sends Dorothy off on quests because he can't work out how to deliver what she needs, which is a whole other problem in the coaching industry, is that
Mm.
coaches are sending people off on quests and
Mhm.
getting them to do things because they have no idea how to actually deliver what the client needs, instead of saying, I have no idea how to deliver to you what you need, but I suspect that you know, let's ask some questions
Hmm.
and reveal it for yourself.
Mhm.
Or are we the companions? So each of the companions comes with gifts. You've got the scarecrow comes with wisdom or brains, and the tin man comes with heart and compassion, and the lion comes with courage. And I really love that. For, I mean, as far as if you were looking for what are the three traits that everybody needs to overcome most obstacles, brains, courage, and heart are probably the three that would be consistent and universal across most things. There'd be exceptions, but for the most
Yes.
part,
And we should acknowledge the counterparts to those too. It's okay to have fear and it's okay to not
yes.
know. Mhm.
Yes. And well, it's in having the fear and the not knowing, and I'm not quite sure what the Tin Man's counterpart is. Well,
Um,
he was cold and frozen, I suppose, like
isolation.
in the isolation. It's in having those that we notice the contrast, to notice that we had what we were looking for all along. And of
Mhm.
course, the most wonderful thing of The Wizard of Oz is the moment at the end where Glinda, so Dorothy hasn't managed to get into the basket, and Glinda says, all you've got to do is click your heels and go home. And the Scarecrow says,
Mhm.
well, why didn't you tell her that? And it was because she had to work that out for herself. And
Mhm.
so that kind of coach, that's the kind of coach I wouldn't be as hands off as Glinda. I like to be a little bit more involved with my clients, but
Mhm.
it's what's the role that we're playing? And depending on the role that we're playing for our clients or with our clients, and is it a role or is it who we truly are, which is a whole other layer. It matters. Like, so the Scarecrow didn't have to be anywhere ahead. The Scarecrow was behind where Dorothy was and could
Mhm.
still walk with Dorothy. The same for the Tin Man and the Lion.
Mhm.
And I mean, the Wizard was exceptionally behind. Now, the Wizard did harm in the process of being behind, and so there is a line where we have to work out: are we doing harm or are we supporting? Sometimes that's hard to figure out.
Mhm.
But the basic hero's journey, we start on a quest and we find people to support us.
Mhm.
What does that look like when we're supporting our clients? Does it mean that we need to be
Mhm.
ahead? Now, if I'm looking for legal advice, I'm not looking for the law student generally. I'm looking for
Mhm.
the I've tried and tested this, and the accountability, because 3 or 4 times I've thought about legal stuff that I should do in the last 2 weeks and I've done nothing with it. And
Mhm.
that's okay. We'll get there. It So I don't necessarily want a Glinda who's going to say, follow the yellow brick road. This is what you need to do. I know what I need to do in terms, and part of that is that I've attended your courses and I've learnt things from you. It's not that I inherently know, it's that I have studied this subject just a teeny tiny fraction comparatively. Teeny fraction. Enough to know that I don't know, really, is where I've got to. I now
You
know
don't know
that
either. It's okay.
there's a whole bunch of stuff that I don't know. But I don't necessarily want someone telling me to follow the yellow brick road and then disappearing. I want someone
Mm-hmm.
to walk with me because,
Mm.
and preferably the scarecrow, because I mean the lion and the lion and the Tin Man have gifts, but they're probably not who I want when I'm creating a legal contract. A
Mm.
little bit of compassion can come in handy in the legal contracts if I remember anything from your trainings.
Mm.
However, there does still need to be the wisdom and the writing down of things and the putting things on paper and
Mm-hmm.
and moving towards that. What we realize though as we go through it is that in terms of the being, we had that all along. In
Mm.
terms of the knowledge, we need to gather from other people. It's one of the things that annoys me about coaching sometimes, and it's generally newer coaches proclaiming all the answers are held within.
Hmm.
Now, if you ask me
Mm.
what I need to do something I've never done before, those answers aren't within.
No.
If if I had to change the carburetor in my car, I can sit and I can ponder that for the rest of eternity, and I am not going to find the answer.
Right. The answers are on YouTube, though.
The answers are on YouTube. I'm feeling like if I have to change the carburetor in my car, going and watching a YouTube video and using that to change the carburetor in my car is a bad plan, and I'm just going to take it to a mechanic, and the mechanic can do it for me.
That sounds right.
To be honest, I don't even know if my car has a carburetor. Like, it feels like it's an outdated item. I couldn't even identify it in the car. Like, that's how
What
lack
year
of
is your
knowledge I
car
have.
built?
It's 2016.
It does not have a carburetor.
Yeah. So if I'm being convinced by the mechanic to change the carburetor, I probably need a new mechanic as well. Like, let's.
Mm-hmm. And don't let the mechanic charge you to put premium air in your tires.
Oh dear. Um, one of my children I sent the other day to find me a left-handed hammer because they were annoying me and they didn't understand the joke. Like, it was just, it
No.
was. I was trying to convey to them, I just want you out from under my feet. I said, I need a left-handed hammer, and they looked at me and said, we're not hammering anything. Why do you need a left-handed hammer? I'm like, because I want
Oh
you to go
dear.
away. And then I had to
Uh-huh.
explain that there is no such thing as a left-handed hammer, and I was sending you on a fool's errand so that you would leave me
Mm-hmm.
alone. Which, in essence, is what the wizard does to Dorothy. He sends her on an errand that he's not willing to go on to go and reclaim the broom. And in the process, she discovers. So sometimes what looks like a pointless adventure still uncovers all of the resourcefulness within us that we need to do whatever it is that we need to do. So there is some value in that. I don't think that was the wizard's intention, though. The wizard's intention was, I don't know how to help you with this. I'm going to send you off to do this thing
Mm.
so that you get out from under my feet. It was more the left-handed hammer
Yes.
search.
Mm-hmm.
He was not a week ahead. He had no idea how to go home. He'd been stuck there for 30
Mm-hmm.
years. And this is part of the problem with the you only need to be a week ahead. Well, I'm a week ahead because I've recognized I have a problem. But if you've
Mm.
only recognized that you have the problem, you're probably not going to be much help to the client in front of you
Mm.
unless you start working your butt off really hard. And I've done that as a coach. When I started as a coach, I would have a client come and they would present a problem, and I would do a lot of validation and uncovering exactly what the problem was in the first session because that was all I had. And then that next week, between that session and the next session, I would study my butt off to find the models and the frameworks to be
Mm.
able to help the client step out of it. I think it was, who's the hypnotherapy guy? Milton.
Mm.
Someone came to, is it Eric Milton? I want to say Eric Milton. I think it's wrong. Someone
Mm.
Milton. Someone came to him and he said, and they wanted to quit sugar.
Oh.
And he said, okay, Go away and see what you can find out about yourself for 6 weeks and come back in 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And they came back, and Milton did one of his hypnotherapy techniques with the client. The client quit sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Came back a couple of weeks later. He's like, "Why did I have to wait 6 weeks?" And Milton said,
Mm.
"Because I had to give up sugar."
Mm. That's interesting.
And so those moments of, particularly for hypnotherapy, when I'm doing, and I don't do deep hypnotherapy, I do very light, um, meditative guided hypnotherapy trance work. But when I'm doing anything in that space, I know I have to embody who the client wants to become for the process to work effectively. And if someone wanted to quit sugar, I would send them somewhere else. I'm not giving up sugar, let's be honest. But
No, and everybody has a different idea what giving up sugar means too.
yes, yes. My point, though, is that even I think it's Eric Milton. It's going to annoy me that I can't remember his first name, but it's Milton Erickson. There we go. I was
Mm.
close. Milton
Ah,
Erickson. We'll get there.
yes.
Yeah, I was close. It was, yeah. Um, but even Milton Erickson, one of the most revered hypnotherapists in the world, who has
Mm-hmm.
influenced that industry and the coaching industry significantly, had the wherewithal to say, "I can't help you with this until I've done it myself."
Mm. Oh, that
And
makes
it,
sense. Yes. We were thinking how sometimes we tell our clients basically to do as I say, not as I do.
mhm,
But we do also really know what we're talking about. And it's because we know that we're talking about that we can, maybe this is not the right way to say it, but get away with more. We can take
yeah.
risks that other people probably shouldn't take because we have a full understanding of the spectrum of the risk.
Well, and that's the difference between an educated person and an expert. The
Hmm.
educated person has learnt about whatever it is that they're talking about. The
Hmm.
expert has made more mistakes than anybody else.
Hmm. That makes sense. Yes, because in this stuff we talk about, we've actually lived it and done it.
Yeah. And it's
Hmm.
in that space of having made the mistakes that you know what you can get away with, and people trust
Hmm.
the energy around that. Part of this comes down to our discernment, which
Hmm.
sometimes we will override.
Hmm.
So there's a course I enrolled in recently, and I overrode myself probably 2 or 3 points in the enrollment process.
Hmm.
There was a tiny bit of alignment, and there was one thing that I was really curious to learn more about. And then as I read the sales page, there was the whisper of, "This is not right for you, don't do it." And then
Hmm.
as I did like a bunch of things, I kept getting the, "This is not right for you, don't do it." And I did it anyway.
Hmm.
And we got 3 weeks in, and I still had the, "This is not right for you, stop doing it." At which point I listened and I swapped back out. But we
Hmm.
do that to ourselves a lot, where energetically we'll pick up on something and there is that whisper of, "This is not right, this doesn't feel right, this doesn't feel aligned." And we fall into the trap of thinking that other people know more than us about what is right for us. Now,
Hmm.
in terms of other people know more than us, I'm not going to say that they don't. In terms of legal stuff, the arena system knows way more than me. Way more than me. In terms of what's right for me, the arena system does not have a clue.
No, that's why even in the legal stuff, we listen to you and we, oh, what's the word? Shape the stuff we give you to fit you after learning what you need.
Yeah, because, well, thinking about the legal stuff, everyone's going to have a different level of risk tolerance.
Hmm.
Because that, in essence, that's what the legal stuff is for. It's for how much risk are you willing to take? Because you can do
Mhm.
none of the legal stuff and you open yourself up to a whole bunch of consequences. Are you
Mhm.
willing to take that risk? You can very tightly do all of the legal stuff and you're narrowing the consequences that you may face. So, depending on the consequences and the risk tolerance that someone is willing to face, that's going to shape how much of the legal stuff is important
Yes.
to them.
Thinking in bets.
What was that?
That's what we call it, thinking in bets.
Thinking in bets. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. It is definitely thinking in. And so, if someone has a higher risk tolerance, their contracts might be a little bit more open.
Mhm.
Lost my fidget toy. Um,
Mm. I need one too.
I had a hair tie. It fell on the floor.
Uh-oh.
But in terms of the knowledge, I'm not going to be able to go inside and find how to write a legal contract. Certainly not one that's going to
Mhm.
hold up legally necessarily. But in
No, but
terms
you can go
of,
to Chat GPT for it.
or not, um, see, I possibly could go to ChatGPT for it right now and get at least a good enough thing, and then I would still probably send it to somebody to look over. Like, you can use
Mhm.
ChatGPT as a starting point, it's not an ending point. The problem with ChatGPT for anything is that it makes stuff up.
Mhm.
And unless you know the subject matter well enough to know what it's making up, because it will sound very wise, the sentence will be
Mhm.
very well constructed. Unless you know the subject matter well enough to know when it's making things up, it's not helpful. It's the same with the human design stuff. And I
Mm.
need to go back. I don't know if you looked through the transcripts as you watched the videos from yesterday, because
No.
ChatGPT cleaned the transcripts, but I'm pretty sure that it did not do it accurately.
Oh. Yeah, we didn't read the stuff. We watched the videos while we were working on our Tada cards.
Yeah, that's fine. It because it makes stuff up in human design. It
Mhm.
makes stuff up. I give it very, very strict parameters. Use these words. Do not use these words. And it still makes things up and cites things. So, in the context of a legal contract, there's a whole set of YouTube channels dedicated to one of my favorites, Ian Runkle. Runkle of the Bailey is what his
Mhm.
channel is called. He
Mhm.
has a whole segment dedicated to robot lawyers, which is the lawyers
Mm.
using AI. And he, there's, what's the word? Formal submissions to the court that
Mhm.
still have the chat GPT, like, we're going to write this in this tone of voice for you for this. And the disclaimer at the bottom of, and it just
Mhm.
makes up citations. Now, for a standard coaching contract, I'm not using legal precedents and citations, but it still has no idea. And you need to know the content well enough
Mhm.
to know whether it's aligned or not with what you're aiming to do.
We've had some clients use chat and then give it to us, and it saved them on some hours because we just had to review it. And we've had other clients do that, and it took us more time to review that than it would have for us to do it from scratch. So it actually cost them money.
Yeah. Well, and it depends on how well you know the prompt. If you don't
Mm-hmm.
know the right prompt to ask, it's going to give you, it can only give you back what you've given it in terms of the prompt.
Mm-hmm.
I would start with, if I was going to use ChatGPT, and I may because I do actually want to get this done, but I would start with going back to the resources that I've got from the trainings that I've done with you, and they would then
Mm-hmm.
shape my prompt, which would make it a little bit better, and then reviewing it myself for what I know of our current state laws, because they're
Mm-hmm.
different from state to state, which is the other problem. Unless
Mm-hmm.
ChatGPT is looking specifically to your state and your specific area, it's got no idea. It's the same with the human design. It's been making stuff up. And even my branding, it cannot stick to the branding
Mm.
and even the imagery, creating the thumbnails for the podcasts. There was 3 very nice images I got back of you with another woman. I'm like, that's a very lovely looking woman.
Oh
She's in
dear.
my branding colors, But that's not me, and it kind of matters. Like the whole, for some things that wouldn't matter.
Mhm.
But when we're creating a thumbnail for the podcast that I am the host of, I feel like perhaps the woman should be me and not even just
Mhm.
looks like me, actually be me.
Actually be you. Well, we've had that where, because our thing with images, it knows what our branding colors are, and we say use the same branding colors to do blah blah blah, and it comes back with red and green instead of our blue and gold.
Yep. Yeah,
Mhm.
the branding colors. My favorite thing, this is not appropriate in public to go any further than this, but my
Ooh.
favorite thing at the moment is to tell it that it's not, you're making things up again, Arnold. And that whole, it's from the Book of Mormon, the whole movie is not appropriate for
No.
the tone of how I play in public. And yet,
Mhm.
that's where I go. And I did at least once in one of my custom GPTs get it to respond with "Come along, hobbits," and that made
Hmm.
me very happy.
Mhm.
However, it doesn't do it anymore, and now it doesn't even challenge the fact that I'm calling it Arnold, which makes me very sad. There's there's not enough humor in ChatGPT. I don't know how you program that. I don't think
Well,
I can.
we have a littles only thread with chat, and it can be very silly in that thread.
That's impressive because
Mhm.
I'm not managing to get it to be silly with me. Maybe I'm too grown up most of the time when I interact with it.
Mhm.
So, in terms of knowledge, I'm like, where were we? In terms of knowledge,
Mhm.
I think we do need to go and seek answers from people outside of ourselves, people that do have the
Mhm.
expertise, people that do have the experience. In terms of being, I think it's a really bad idea to ask other people who we should be. They will
Mm.
answer us. It generally won't bring us joy or light us up as a consequence.
No, and it's not their fault that they answer that way
No.
either, because they're just looking out for themselves too, and that's okay too. And it's also okay to look to other people for examples of ways of being, we think.
I think looking for examples is great as long as we then do the internal check. So lots of people
Mhm.
look to the outside world of who should I be and never stop to do the inside check of
Mhm.
is this who I am and is it sustainable? Like I can put on any
Mhm.
mask I want for a short period of time. Is it
Yes.
sustainable? Is it going to come back and bite me later?
Well, we wore a mask for 50 years, which was pretty good, but in the end, it didn't work out so well.
Yeah. And that tends to be what happens when we
Mhm.
suppress parts of ourselves. And we can only amplify parts of ourselves. If those parts of ourselves are not there, we
Mhm.
cannot. So, whatever we're seeing in others is generally a reflection of something that is within us that can be activated and amplified.
Mhm.
So, that's not an issue. The looking and activating and amplifying,
Mhm.
actifying,
Rectifying.
that's that's okay. It's where we start suppressing other parts of ourselves
Mhm.
to be able to maintain the mask and the role that we think we need. That's where
Mm.
we create problems for ourselves
Mm.
because all of our parts, whether we let them out of the circle or not, if we use an inside out reference where they put sadness in the circle, they're still influencing who we are and how we operate. And it's
Mhm.
important to, and if we don't, then bad things generally happen because those
Mhm.
parts influence us. And if we're not, it's the same as a toddler. If you give a toddler good attention, and I don't like the terms good and bad, but I don't have better ones at the moment. If you give a toddler good attention, they will respond to the good attention and they
Mhm.
will be happy and loving and kind.
Mhm.
If you don't give the toddler good attention, they will do something to get the bad attention.
Mhm.
And so any attention becomes the motive. And if we love and amplify
Mhm.
all the parts of us in their light side, acknowledging that they've all got shadow sides.
Mhm.
But if we focus on the light side and we give attention to the light side, we get more of the light side. If we
Yeah.
don't, we get the dark side. And some of my parts can be quite malicious in how they bring to life themselves behind the scenes covertly,
Mhm.
because I won't let them come out overtly. I am curious. My green lady is still in a weird space, and I'm curious how she is influencing me, because she's clearly not happy with the attention that she's getting. She's clearly not happy with how my other parts interacting with her. And I'm wondering what she is doing in my life that I'm unaware of because we're not connecting. And I would like to rebuild that relationship with her, which
Mm.
takes patience and compassion and a bunch of other things, curiosity. And I don't think she believes that the wizard is curious. I don't believe that the wizard is curious. The wizard is definitely in control mode. And I'm like, well, she's not going to come out while you're being controlling. And so I'm aware of that. And at some point, I'll probably step into another part to connect with her, because she will talk to the cat. The cat's allowed sleep on her bed.
Mm.
I digress. The knowing. So the knowledge we need to find from elsewhere. Most of us aren't going to
Mhm.
have how to write a legal contract, or how to read a human design chart, or how to do anything. And there's plenty of places to get the knowledge. We can get the knowledge from other people. We can get the knowledge from YouTube. We can get the knowledge from books. There's lots of spaces we can gain the knowledge. And the being, we can use the outside world as inspiration. At some point, though, we need to come back within and look at, is this aligned for us? And am I
Mm.
sacrificing another part of myself to sustain this part? Which is generally what we're doing with masking, is that we're sacrificing another part to sustain who we think we should be. Maybe.
Yeah. Mm. Sorry, we're having an internal argument right now.
I could see that there was like a switching or something happening for you.
Well, we switched and then we switched again. We won't do it, okay? Amber was worried that we littles were going to maybe say something that would make another part uncomfortable. So she came out to make sure. And she's right. We shouldn't share that on the recording right now. So we
And
won't
that's
do it.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes those boundaries of what we share in public and what we share in private are really important to respect.
Yeah, and this probably, she's right. It's something we're thinking about a lot right now, but she's right that it's something for us to work on the inside and with our therapists, probably. Mhm.
Well, and that brings us back to our original topic of, are we a week ahead? So when we're
Mm.
in the middle of, which is what I'm sensing, is you're in the
Mhm.
middle of some kind of transformation or journey or whatever it is,
Mhm.
while we're in the middle of it, it's okay to seek companions, and it's
Mhm.
okay to recognize, I'm on this journey and I'm seeking companions, and we can do this together. Not
Mhm.
necessarily now, I'm not asking you to disclose anything, but just this, it takes us back to the, are you the week ahead? But if we're in the middle of it, then it's probably not something that we should be talking about publicly and proclaiming that we know the answers to while we're still in the middle of it. And I
Well,
know that's
yes.
not what you were going to do, but it's a good shift
No, we
to.
don't know the answers. We were going to share it because it seemed very like a great example of something you were saying. But then Amber reminded us that if we share it without that part's permission, that could cause more trouble inside.
Yeah. Yes, and the parts dynamic brings
Mm-hmm.
a different flavor to it. I think there are people, though, that aren't aware that they have parts and that are
No, which is so sad. You have great parts, and our new sponsor lady has very active parts too, which
that's
helps
awesome. That's
her
awesome.
relate to us. But no, there are people who don't know they have parts, and there are people who talk very bad about their parts, which makes us sad.
Yes. But that having that awareness for you to pause and go, actually, I'm going to upset this part in sharing that
Mm-hmm.
publicly at this point. There are other people who aren't aware of the parts and aren't aware that they are upsetting the parts of themselves, especially if they're talking badly about their parts. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think you've said it before, but the parts are listening. And it's
Yes.
important that we are kind to all parts of
Mm-hmm.
ourselves. And it comes down to something that I bring in. It's like all the parts are valid, not all of the behaviors are valid.
Mm-hmm.
So some behaviors are not ideal,
Mm-hmm.
but all of the parts are valid and they are doing the best that they can. And this is true of people.
Mm-hmm.
All of the people are valid and they're doing the best they can. And sometimes I question that and I get quite cross with, like, are they really doing the best they can? Especially if I've seen them do better previously and then they're not doing better, which takes us back to capacity. Some days I
Mm,
have the capacity
well,
to do well, and some days I don't have the capacity to do well.
yes, you see, because we think at least it's not our job to judge whether they're doing the best they can on any given day.
And sometimes we're human and we do.
We still do it. Yes, we think it, but then we see this is one challenge for us. So, like, if we think something about that about another human, we can think it and then we can reflect and say that wasn't very nice and we cannot say it out loud. But when we think it about another part internally, they hear it and
You
we
can't take it
can't
back.
we can't take it back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which I think is why we need other companions on the journey with us to help reconcile that sometimes, which is why, like,
Mhm.
taking it to the therapist and exploring with the therapist is a great idea if you've got a great therapist. But those are things that are resolved internally, potentially with support from outside.
Mhm.
No one can tell you, like, there's no one else that can tell you how to resolve that. It's going to be a navigation that the
Mhm.
different parts internally do. And so when we're looking for that guidance of how do we shape our inner world, we can get guidance and we can have companions. At the end of the day, though, it's got to come
Mhm.
back to the internal parts need to be aligned, not us being aligned with somebody else's ideas. And
Mhm.
in those spaces, nobody else knows. No one else knows who we should be, how we should act. That's all decisions we get to make. In terms of the knowledge stuff, plenty of other people know how to write a legal contract. There are people that I can reach out to. How to change a carburetor in the car that doesn't have one. I can get advice from people that know more than me. So the knowledge we want to seek from
Mhm.
others, the being we want to seek within, and
You
we
know,
can
it's funny how much we agree with you that nobody can tell you um, that there's the one way of being and the one way to do it, and we think so, but so many people do disagree with you, and we know lots of people who disagree with you, and they say that if you want to accomplish this thing, that here's the steps to do it, and you have to do it the way I say, and you have to be that way.
yep.
Mhm.
And what's ironic is some of them are teaching that there is no one way while proclaiming you have to do it my way.
Mhm.
The human design world fascinates me because the whole concept, as far as I can tell, is that you're meant to go on your own experiment and discover who you are for yourself.
Mm.
The body graph is it's a map that you get to choose the adventure and how you unpack it. The
Mhm.
number of human design consultants that have told me that I am wrong in the way that I approach
Mm.
discovering who I am is baffling to me because I don't understand how one can be wrong with a made up system. And let's face it, they're all made up. Some of them
Yeah,
have got research to back them up, but they're still all made up.
all made up.
It's all made up. And that's okay. And if it's helpful, and I love human design. Human design is one of my
Mm-hmm.
favorite tools at the moment. And because I'm immersing back in it, it's bringing me great delight.
Mm-hmm.
I am still very much of the it's all made up. It's holding stuff in it, and every time I do something with it, I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe how aligned this is for me,
Mm-hmm.
and it unveils and reveals stuff. And there are people that'll like, there's evidence for the neutrinos, and there's evidence for the astral, and blah blah blah. There's some, yes, but it's still not definitively proven.
No, and we think that trying to prove things like that in a laboratory takes away some of the power that it has
Yes,
because, well, we talked about this with you before. The beauty in these things that cannot be tested in the laboratory is that you get to use the ones that work for you. And as long as you're not hurting anybody else, then why should anybody care?
yeah. Well, and even the psychological models that have been somewhat tested in a laboratory still
Mm-hmm.
aren't proven. They're all still, there's nothing psychological model wise that has been proven beyond a
Mm-hmm.
reasonable doubt. Like, if you had to put it in a court of law, you're not getting there. And
No. And we're a great example because, like, if I take the childhood experiences scale, I would score very high on it. But if Julian takes the scale, he would get a 0 on it.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and everything in the psychological world, because you just said it, if you take the scale, it is a
Mm-hmm.
subjective experience
Mm-hmm.
that is not, it's shaped by the filters and the beliefs and the
Mm-hmm.
everything happening in the moment. The same is true of the postnatal depression scale. Now, I
Mm.
took the postnatal depression scale when my baby was 8 months old,
Mm.
and I lied on it,
Mm-hmm.
and I failed enough that I qualified for support, but I passed
Mm-hmm.
enough that they didn't take my baby off me.
Yeah, good job.
And the lady had no clue. And she said to me, if you'd scored 3 points higher, we'd be looking at taking your child away. And I'm like, well, internally, I know that I scored probably 20 points higher. I can't remember what the scale
Mm-hmm.
was. And now you've threatened to take my baby away. I don't want to tell you the truth at all.
Right. It was not
And
safe.
no, it was not safe, but it's all subjective. Like, there's just no way
All of
to.
those psychological tools, it means the person taking it has to actually be aware of how they feel, and a lot of people are not. And they have to be honest about how they feel, but the incentive is not always to be honest about how you feel on there.
Nope. No, not when they're threatening to take your child away. It was so badly handled.
And like for us, we always scored very low on the dissociation scales because we didn't want to be locked up. And yet, look at us now.
Well, see, I wonder if I score low on the dissociation scales for a similar reason.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I genuinely think that I don't. I mean, the parts are definitely there, but I don't
Mhm.
think at this stage, at least, and maybe in the past, and I've been reflecting on maybe in the past, there was more active dissociation and more sabotage and more impact on my life than there is
Uh-huh.
now. And so maybe like 5 to 10 years ago, but I had no idea. Like, at least the front of me had no idea that
Well,
parts were
that's
even a
the
thing.
point. That's the whole
Yes.
point is not knowing. And it may be simply that now you are all just working together a lot better.
Well, and I think I kind of did the therapy side of it, and it wasn't necessarily therapy, it was mostly done through coaching. It's a fine line between the two quite often,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes it's crossed quite blatantly, and we go back to the risk management of coaching contracts. But
Mm-hmm.
the I suspect I've worked on integrating them before I'm assessing whether I am that or I'm not. And so if I'd assessed it at the beginning, who knows where I'd have been. But assessing it after the treatments and after the exposure and after the understanding and the awareness, we are definitely,
Mm-hmm.
with the exception of the Green Lady, who is still there and we're aware that she's there. She's not missing. She's not doing things without awareness. She's just
Mm-hmm.
not connecting with the rest of the parts the way I would like. And I
Well,
don't
and
know
does it
why
matter?
that
I
is.
mean,
No, it probably doesn't matter, but I like to be a little bit more controlling than that.
mm,
I'm
well,
aware of that,
we
which
do
is what
that
she's rebelling
too.
against.
It really doesn't matter to us what code our therapist is using on the paperwork, but
Yeah,
we also kind of like to know.
there is definitely parts of me that like to know and parts of me that are still driven by control and power. And
Mm,
the Green Lady is not going to be controlled or give anybody else her power, which is an
mm-mm,
amazing gift when I embrace it.
mm-hmm.
I am going to touch on my rant about the hero's journey. So we
Yes.
talked a little bit about the hero's journey. And the other day, someone raised the heroine's journey because we are women and we are not
Hmm.
following a patriarchal. And I went, huh? And we're not
We
doing it
don't
on
think
our.
of the word hero as specific like that.
I don't either. You'll not agree with this next piece either. I'd be willing to place money on, because the hero does it on his own. And I'm like, have you not read the hero's journey? We just went through The Wizard of Oz. She started with
Mm-hmm.
Toto. She met a mentor. She gathered companions. She went to the wizard. She continued with her companions. She didn't do anything alone except for the moment in the witch's tower and then the moment where she clicked her heels together at the end. She
Yeah.
had companions along the way at every step.
Well, and Star Wars is expressly Luke Skywalker's hero's journey. George Lucas will tell you that it is, and it was based on all of that, and he doesn't do it by himself either.
No, he doesn't. And The Matrix, which was the other movie that I
Mm-hmm.
was studied. So those were the three: Star Wars, The Wizard of Oz,
Mm-hmm.
and The Matrix were the three movies we were set as homework when I was studying the hero's journey.
Mm-hmm.
Neo does not do it alone either.
No.
And so this concept that the hero is out there doing it on his own, I'm like, no, you are wrong. You are so, so wrong. And
Yeah.
they rebranded it. And it was like 1980 that this woman brought out the heroine's journey as a thing against the patriarchy. And we need to, and I'm just like, you are so wrong on what your interpretation of the hero's journey is. Now, I'm not saying, so her original
Mm-hmm.
argument was that the guy that created the hero's journey or was talking about the hero's journey that she was listening to was a misogynist. I'm not debating that. That is highly possibly likely.
He might have
However,
been.
it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't change that the hero's journey applies equally to the masculine and feminine energies, and
Mm-hmm.
anybody can be a hero or a heroine if you've got to have the name differentiation. The journey doesn't change. What she spoke to was the difference between the ambition journey and the meaning journey. And where I see
Mm.
this really cleanly in something that's easily accessible is the difference between Frozen and Frozen 2. So
Oh
in
dear. We haven't seen Frozen 2.
haven't seen Frozen 2. We have to see
No.
Frozen 2.
Okay.
Frozen 2 is, again, it's the hero's journey, and
Mm-hmm.
spoiler alerts for anyone, but I'm going to
It's
spoiler
fine.
alert it. She goes and she collects companions.
Mm.
She the world is collapsing, which is how every hero's journey starts. Something
Mm.
collapses, something falls apart,
Mm-hmm.
which is how the first Frozen starts. There is that collapse and then the isolation, and then she breaks free and she finds her power. But it's a journey of ambition, and she steps into being the queen and having power and ruling over her people compassionately.
Mm-hmm.
That's an ambition journey. It's how do I step into being the queen?
Mm.
The meaning journey is how do I step into being more of me? And so in Frozen 2, She goes on the journey, and it's a magical journey, and
Mm,
she collects the little fire lizard that I love, and then she collects
mm,
the earth giants, and she collects the water horse, and she
mm,
collects the wind, which I don't know has an
mhm,
animal that goes with it, but the wind is there. And there's a really cute
mhm,
scene with Olaf. The littles will love Frozen too. There's a
mhm,
really cute scene with Olaf talking to the wind,
mhm,
and but she collects these companions, and then she has that moment where she uses the companions and she goes into, like, she literally descends into a cave to find herself. Like,
mm,
how closer to the classic hero's journey can you get? And it's revealed that she is the one she was looking for. And it's
mhm,
that inward journey. It's not how do I need to perform for society, it's how do I connect with and can re embrace me.
mm,
And this lady, whose name I don't even remember, but she's distinguishing the ambition journeys from the meaning journeys, saying one is masculine and one is feminine. And I think that is the
mm.
most
Oh
ridiculous bullshit I've
dear.
ever heard.
You said a dirty word, but yes, we agree.
I have many other dirty words that I could pull about this too.
I know our big parts say them all the time. We don't have a problem with them. We just choose not to say them as the littles, and that's okay too.
That's okay.
But yeah, we don't know why she. And that seems very limiting. That seems like you're taking away something from men and taking away something from women when you do that.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Hmm.
her proclamation was that women should never go on the ambition journeys. They should only go on the meaning journeys. So definitely taking something away. And no, women have just as much right to go out and create ambition and build the foundations to step into the meaning driven world as men do.
Yeah,
And
so
men
women
should
should
be
not go build
afraid.
things outside, and men should not do something inside. That doesn't make any
That,
sense.
no, it doesn't make any sense. And it really, really annoys me
Hmm.
because the way it is being presented will appeal to so many. The person that was talking to me about the heroine
Hmm.
had bought into the bullshit, and there's that bad word again.
Hmm.
And it makes me so sad because there is the time for the ambition. And she'd bought into that the
Hmm.
hero's journey didn't have companions. And I'm just like, the hero always has companions. The hero, they have their moment. It's
Hmm.
part of the hero's journey. They have their moment. They have the Death Star moment where
Hmm.
everyone else has disappeared and they've got to find their own power. They have the moment where they're standing in the ice castle and they've got to find their own power. They have their moment where um, the agents are shooting at them. I think it is in the Matrix. They've all got their
Hmm.
moment where they stand alone and they find that the power comes from within, but they've all done it with companions along the way. Whether
Well,
they
and she's separating out this ambition and meaning, but the best hero's journey movies, they have them they're on a journey to build things outside that help people and do things and on a journey inside.
inside.
Neo builds lots of great things, but he has to look inside to find his power. And Luke Skywalker does great things on the outside, but by the end of the movies, he's really found what he is on the inside.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Fifth
The,
Element, too, is a hero's journey movie. We were thinking because you reminded us with the air and the fire, all the four elements,
Mhm.
but then the fifth element is ultimately the love, which comes from inside.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I like the fifth element for that symbology
Hmm.
as well. And not Power Rangers. Power Rangers probably does it too. Captain
Hmm.
Planet. Captain Planet has the five people. They each have a ring, and they have earth,
Hmm.
fire, water, wind,
Hmm.
and the last one is heart. And
Hmm.
he's a good couple of years younger than the others. Like, it's a teenage um, driven cartoon. He
Hmm.
is a good couple of years younger, and I think it's our littles within that are most connected to the heart still. And the
Hmm.
younger, he hasn't kind of got to that ambition and the power seeking, and those is holding on to the heart, which is
Hmm.
the pureness. But yeah, I just this concept that the hero's journey, the men get ambition and the women get meaning, just annoyed the crap out of me. It
Mm-hmm.
really made me sad. And
It
I
is
think
sad.
there is a
Mm-hmm.
place, an idea, like a good movie, as you say, will have both happening concurrently.
Mm-hmm.
And life will have both happening concurrently, though what we set out for will often be one or the other. So we might start looking for the ambition, like how do I become the queen? How do I become and step into it?
Mm-hmm.
It's the becoming, but it's for the purpose of the journey. There was a journey I shared in the community the other day, the 4 archetypes, and it is the ambition, meaning, separation, which I'm only just linking more closely to this now.
Mm.
It's the athlete, what do people think of me? The warrior, what can I get? The statesman, where we transition into the meaning, what can I give? And
Mm.
then the spirit is, what am I? And I think all 4 of those questions can spark a
Mm-hmm.
hero's journey, and you can have 4 movies along those lines. The
Mm.
Frozen 2, that beginning movie is, what will people think of me? And then she moves into, what can I get in terms of the kingdom? And then what can I give? She does transition through all 3. The second movie is far more about, what am I and how do I embrace who I am at my core,
Mm-hmm.
and stepping into the unknown and really embracing her powers, rather than just using them to give to others, using them to understand who she is, which is a different perspective. And I do notice that shift of, and I think for some people it is different from men to women, and society sets it up to be different, but it doesn't need to be different. So for my husband, the initial was definitely, like, if I look at the initial roles in our relationship, his was very much about, what can I get to provide for my family? And mine was very much about, what can I give to provide for my family? And I gave a lot of myself looking after the children, and I gave up a lot of myself in that process. And I think he probably did too. And now, as the kids are getting older, mine is switching to, what can I get in the world? And it's still driven by, what can I give? But there is definitely a transition. And his is starting to be a little bit more uh, family focused. So the shift isn't from, what can I get from outside to provide? It's, how can I connect with my family more? And ideally, we would do that a lot earlier in life, but it's this navigation. Society sets it up weirdly. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
have to be that way, and it doesn't change the underlying elements of the hero's journey.
Mm.
They stay the same,
Mm-hmm.
whether we're going on an ambition journey or a meaning journey, and those steps and that process is
Right.
exactly the same
Mm-hmm.
no matter what. And so to distinguish it and to say that men are meant to have ambition journeys and women are meant to have meaning journeys is just disappointing. And men do it on their own and women do it. Like, to me, that just buys
Mm.
into a bullshit narrative.
If anything, we would say that model is the sexist model.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I am inclined to agree. So that was my rant. Probably not as ranty as it would have been 3 or 4 days ago, but it definitely still got fired up.
It had to come out.
It definitely did. And it was probably in uh, is probably better that I did it in this gentler energy than in the rant energy that I was in last week.
Mm.
Is there anything you want to add before we wrap up the recording?
Nope.
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 Awesome. Thank you
Bye,
very much.
everybody.
If you're in the community, continue the conversation, comment below. If you're on YouTube, join the community to continue the conversation. We look forward to connecting with you soon.